Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're having a lovely day. Today I'd like to talk about a scam that is, in my opinion, a scam that is rampant in the data recovery industry and the portable device repair industry. It's a scam that Apple appears to be, unfortunately, complicit in legitimizing. And I'm not necessarily going to blame Apple here because I don't even think that they're aware of what it is that's going on. It is my hope that once this video comes out, if you agree with my findings, that this scam will be brought to light and will hopefully end. The reason that I bring this up is because in the portable device repair industry, there is a lack of trust between the customer and the technician. And dare I say it, in almost any industry, there is a lack of trust between the customer and the technician. The customer does not know what's wrong with their device. The person that does know what's wrong with their device doesn't necessarily have to tell the truth about what is wrong with the device. And they can use that knowledge that they have over the customer to charge them a lot more money than what they would be able to charge the customer if the customer actually knew what was wrong. The customer has to trust us in order for this to work. And anything that degrades this trust is something that needs to be dealt with, regardless of the blowback to whoever's bringing it up. This is something that's probably a bad idea for me to do because the people that I'm going to be talking about in this video are a competitor. And I have a really, really high bar for when I start to talk crap on competition. I just don't think it's a good way to do business. I've never seen Apple as a competitor. I see them as a manufacturer. But when it comes to other companies in our industry, even when I do videos going over what franchises have done, you'll notice that I virtually never name the franchise that did whatever happened. I hope that by posting the video, a lesson is learned and they stop doing it. Unfortunately, in this case, there is a company that is breaking the trust of their technicians, and dare I say it, even their trusted partners, in such a horrible way that it must be brought to light, even if it lessens my reputation. What am I talking about here? I want you to imagine that you're bringing an iPhone to the Apple Store because you have a problem with the iPhone. The iPhone still turns on. The technician opens the iPhone, and right after they open the iPhone, it no longer works. The technician at the Genius Bar refers you to a company that does data recovery because you want your data off of the phone that the technician at Apple just broke. When you call the data recovery company, they tell you that it's going to be anywhere from $700 to $3,500 to recover the data, but they can't really tell you without an in-person estimate. They need to see the device. You send the device to them, and they tell you it's going to be over $3,000 to get the data back from it. Since you don't have over $3,000 to spend on your data, you send it to an independent repair shop after getting it back from the data recovery company. And the independent repair shop finds that there was nothing wrong with your device all along besides a single broken cable on the screen, which requires nothing other than an iPhone screen replacement, which is something that they do at the Genius Bar that just so happened to send you to the data recovery company that quoted you $3,000. This is something that happens, unfortunately, on a regular basis. And I'm not going to blame Apple here because I don't think Apple understands their complicity in this scam, nor do I think Apple even knows that this is what's going on, due to what I believe is an ad hoc agreement between these companies for a long period of time. I will let my friend Jess explain best, as she has done numerous videos on this topic, and virtually every repair shop that does what we do has likely had a story like this in the past few years.
I'm gonna be mad if this is just yet another just bad screen. Oh man. I should have assumed that just because it had a Drivesaver sticker on it, that it probably didn't have anything wrong with it, and this is my idiocy for not just plugging it in and making sure it actually had something wrong with it. Let's look at this screen. All right, Megan's screen. Oh my gosh. Duh. They ripped the screen. This is what Apple did.
As you can see, there was nothing wrong with this phone besides the screen flex that was torn. Now, Apple not replacing the screen flex, that's bad. Apple not taking accountability and responsibility in replacing the screen, I think that sucks. But you have to understand, the reason I'm not blaming Apple here is at the end of the day, I've gone over this a lot on this channel. The people that work at the Apple Store have no idea how to repair these devices properly and very rarely do. Dare I say it, we would be crazy to expect them to have that level of expertise when they have shown time and time again that they do not. Who do I expect to have a higher level of expertise? The companies I sent the phone to, that purports themselves to be at the absolute top of the data recovery industry. They sent this phone to this data recovery company, and here's what they told the customer.
Yes, so I did send it in to Drivesavers, and they gave me an estimate of about $3,300 to $3,500, which was unfortunately not something that I'm in a position to be able to pay.
So they had it in their hands. Not just over the phone, but they had it in their hands, and they looked at it, and they did whatever. Like, what's the point of sending it in? Like, they're doing diagnostics on it, right? They're gonna get a basic idea of what's wrong, and they said, yep, this will be a $3,500 data recovery.
after looking at my phone, originally I think the estimate was anywhere from like $700 to $3,500, and I was hoping it would be on the lower end. Thinking that they probably deal with a lot more serious kind of data issues, but that was the quote they ended up giving me after looking at my phone.
So your lock screen is of you and a cute little doggy. It looks like you and your husband, maybe?
Oh my goodness, yes.
They told this customer that it would cost them over $3,000 to get the data off of this device that essentially needed nothing other than a screen replacement that could be completed by a 13-year-old. That screen replacement could also be done at the Apple Store. Again, you may think I should be blaming Apple here a little bit more. At the end of the day, I'm blaming Drivesavers. This kind of reminds me of this interaction I saw at the airport recently. There was a 3 or 4-year-old child that was misbehaving. And when he was misbehaving, he actually punched his dad right in the nuts. It seemed horrible. And after he punched his dad in the nuts, the dad actually punched the kid. Now, I'm not saying that you should punch your dad in the nuts as a 4-year-old. But what I'm saying is that a dad should know better than to actually close-fisted punch his child. The child should know better. When Apple abuses the customer, they do so because, for the most part, the person working at the Genius part doesn't know any better. They can't find the bent pin 1 on an EDP connector on an A1398 MacBook. They're clueless. But Drivesavers doesn't advertise themselves as clueless. They advertise themselves as a company that knows what they're doing and is going to treat you properly. And their idea of treating you properly is telling you that when all you need is a screen replacement on your device to get everything back, that it's going to be $3,000. Apple doesn't know any better. But Drivesavers does. With knowledge comes power, and with power comes responsibility. We have power over our customers, and in my opinion, we should not be abusing the power we have over our customers in the way that Drivesavers is doing.
So your lock screen is of you and a cute little doggy. It looks like you and your husband, maybe?
Oh my goodness, yes.
That, oh my goodness, yes. That's the sound of somebody's heart attack stopping. That is the sound that I work in this industry for. That is why, after 15 years of going through the muck, that I will happily continue marching forward and doing what I do. The first time that I ever had a customer actually run up to me and give me a giant hug because I saved them over $2,000 is what makes this industry worth it. And that's what Jessa Jones did for this customer. The reason that this customer was put in that stressful place to begin with is because Apple broke something. But more importantly, there was a company out there that decided to take advantage of that customer in their time of need and to take advantage of the trust that was placed in them as a result of the referral that they had from Apple. And I believe firmly at this point in time, that trust and that referral needs to end. If Apple wants to maintain their image as a consumer-friendly company, they cannot continue to refer customers to an organization that is, in my opinion, fleecing them without their knowledge. You bet your ass that when they quoted this young lady, they did not say, by the way we're going to be recovering your data is we are going to be attaching a known good screen that costs like $50 with scratches on it to your phone. We are going to plug it in and we are going to do an iTunes backup the exact same way that you would be doing if you knew that the phone had a bad screen. They are not being honest. I am happy to be honest with my customers. What I did on your device is run a jumper wire under a CD3217. I replaced an ISL 9240 to restore PP-Bus G3 hot. I am happy to be honest about what it is that I'm doing at my business because I don't believe that I am screwing people. I bet my balls. I bet my cat, I bet my health, I bet my future, and I bet my family that Drivesavers never tells the customer what is actually wrong with the phone when there's nothing wrong with it but a charge port or a screen and they're quoting $3,000. And the reason this is a problem is because this is not something that has only happened once or twice or 3 or 10 or 100 times. It has happened many more than that. Many of my trusted colleagues in this industry, when we talk shop and share stories that they have customers that were quoted $1,000 to $3,000 by Drivesavers, and the way they fixed the customer phone was they took a dental pick and they picked lint out of the charge port, or they replaced the charge port, or they replaced the screen, and it turned on, and it worked. This is systemic, and this is something that's happening on a regular basis. And every single day that this is allowed to happen, it damages the reputation of two people. A, Apple, for referring the customer to Drivesavers to get fleeced, and B, the entire repair industry as a whole. I don't even mean just data recovery. I don't even mean just independent repair. If a company is allowed to continue doing this that has a great reputation, it is not only going to hurt the reputation of independents, because we are technicians just like Drivesavers are technicians, it's also going to hurt Apple's reputation as well. If Apple tells a customer that literally needed nothing other than a $100 or $200 screen repair, that they need to go to a $3,000 data recovery company, that hurts the reputation of Apple. It makes it look like Apple is trying to rip that customer off when I don't think that was the case. I'm going to give a good faith approximation of what I think is going on here. I think Drivesavers is a company that was known for data recovery off of hard drives. And when you have a hard drive, there are two different types of recovery you can have. You can have a software, logical recovery, where you're just plugging it into a computer. The hard drive turns on, it spins up, it works. You just plug it into a computer, use some data recovery software, and you get the stuff. That's the low end of the scale, 700. And then you have when the hard drive needs to be opened up in a magical clean room or a laminar flow bench to have heads swapped and everything like that, where $3,500 is actually somewhat of a fair price. So they have this scale where if we don't have to open it, 700. If we do have to so much as turn a screwdriver, it's $3,500. This pricing makes sense for hard drives, which have to be opened in a clean room environment where you need a very high level of expertise. You have to find heads with micro jogs that match, and you got to deal with donors and all this. But it makes no sense for an iPhone where, again, a lot of the times the problem that you may have with it is literally a broken screen. So their pricing may be pricing that is kind of grandfathered in from the hard drive days where literally as long as we're turning a screwdriver, it's $3,500. My guess is that there's some sort of arrangement that's been grandfathered in. This is just a guess where there's a card at the Apple store and it says something along the lines of if customers crying about their data, refer them to this company. Now, that pricing, again, at the end of the day, it's high, but it can kind of make sense when you're dealing with a clicking hard drive that has platter damage. It just doesn't make sense for an iPhone that needs a new screen. Apple may not actually be aware that this is going on, so they continue the referral to Drivesavers without actually auditing that arrangement to figure out how Drivesavers is coming up with these prices of $3,300 to $3,500 for phones that have nothing but a bad screen. I'm going to assume in good faith that if Apple were actually aware of what was going on, they would demand that this change or they would end that arrangement. And I think it is in Apple's best interest, as well as the repair industry as a whole's best interest, for that arrangement to be changed or ended so that our reputation is not negatively affected. This is, again, one of these things that's distasteful because technically, and it's important to disclose this, Drivesavers is my direct competitor in this field. They provide hard drive data recovery. We do. They provide micro SD card data recovery. We do. They provide iPhone data recovery. We do. But it's something that, let's be real, almost everybody that watches this channel that has a repair shop has dealt with at some point in time. Almost every repair shop that I know has gotten a phone with a Drivesaver sticker on it where the customer was quoted $1,000 to $3,000, where the only problem with the phone was lint in the charge port, where the only problem with the phone was a charge port that didn't work, where the only problem with the phone was a screen. And at some point, again, while I agree with a business's right to charge whatever price they want, I simultaneously think it is our responsibility as repair technicians to point out when something is going on that's kind of shitty. Let's be real. You may be willing to pay $3,000 to get the data off of that phone if you think the CPU is dead, if you think the motherboard has a fracture in it. Would you be willing to pay $3,000 to get the data off of that phone if you knew it was just a screen? And the reason they're getting these easy referrals where people are actually willing to pay that is because these referrals are not coming from just anybody. These referrals are coming from Apple Store, a company that manufactured the product, a company that has beautiful glass doors that look way better than any of my old storefronts. They have a level of credibility. And what Drivesavers is doing, in my opinion, is abusing the credibility that has been grandfathered into their relationship over a long period of time with Apple to fleece their customers for what is, again, what they're doing with this phone to get the data off of it. They're going to plug in a working iPhone screen. They're going to plug it into iTunes, type in the customer passcode, click a button, and collect $3,000. I believe that Drivesavers has the legal right to do that. I also believe that every single repair shop that has ever gotten a phone from Drivesavers, where they were told it would be $1,000 or $3,000 by the customer to get the data off of it when it literally needed nothing other than a screen or a charge port or a screen, at the end of the day, has the right to share these experiences, because these are real experiences. And again, if you think it is not worth doing because it may make you look bad, you may look petty, this, that, or the other, I agree with you. That is why on this channel, when I point out things that franchises have done that are wrong, I don't mention the franchise. I will email them. I will point to the video. I will say, hey, don't do this again. But I don't say it out loud because at the end of the day, it's just seen as not tactful. This has been going on for a very long period of time. Minimum. Absolute minimum, 4 to 5 years. based on my own experience and Jess's experience and the experience of many trusted colleagues in the industry. And I think it's important to talk about it. I still remember to this day, before I knew that PP3V42_G3 hot went to the keyboard, and that also powered the one-wire circuit responsible for there being a light in the charger. I still remember 13 years ago when I replaced a customer's motherboard and keyboard, and I charged them for both when they only needed the keyboard, and I figured it out later. This customer paid cash, so I couldn't refund them via the credit card system. I called and emailed them asking to come back into the store because I needed to refund them for the logic board that they didn't need with an apology. They never came back. They never answered my phone call. To this day, that haunts me. It has been 13 years, and the fact that I got an estimate wrong still burns my soul. These people are collecting $2,000 to $3,000 for an iPhone screen replacement, for a charge port, and they're doing it not with the customer's knowledge that it was the screen to the charge port. I guarantee you, I would bet my cat, I bet my future, I bet my health and my relationships that they are not telling these customers on the phone, by the way we're recovering your data is replacing your screen temporarily. By the way we're getting your data, you had a bad charge port. Apple was actually incorrect in their diagnosis that there was something else wrong with the phone, so we're just going to do that. You're cool with that, right? They're not doing that, because if they were honest about what they were doing, they would get in trouble. I believe that they have a referral network that they have built out over a long period of time. And they have an affiliate network that they have built out over a long period of time, where if you refer them business, you get a percentage of the overall data recovery. If you're a small repair shop and you refer Drivesavers a data recovery and they successfully recover that data, you get a commission check. And because this affiliate network exists, it has dulled the senses of the independent repair industry to call this out for what it is. In my opinion, an absolute scam. And it's a disgusting one. For every phone that goes to myself or Jessa that needed nothing but a screen or a charge port, I bet you there are 5 or 15 phones sitting in nightstands somewhere that have never been to somewhere else where the person said, I think those people are trying to rip me off, screw them. How many people don't pursue repair after this? How many people have a fundamental distrust of not just the repair industry for consumer devices, but technicians in general, automotive mechanics, plumbers, contractors, and everybody else because of this type of underhanded, scheming bullshit? I think it has to stop. And here's how I suggest that it end. Every single time you get a customer that told you that they went to Drivesavers and they were going to charge $1,000 or $3,000 for the repair when there was nothing wrong with the phone other than a charge port or a screen that can be replaced by a 13-year-old with a YouTube video, you do a video on it and you include the customer reaction if they explicitly consent to being on the recording. I know for a fact that Jessa does not include her customers on her YouTube videos, whether it is the wallpaper on their iPhone or whether it is their phone call, without their implicit and informed consent. And even if the customer doesn't consent to being on the video, you can still tell the story. X person came into my store, X person had this problem, X person was quoted $3,000 by this company. Here's what was actually wrong with it. You can talk about the problem. I think more people need to talk about these problems in order for it to actually be solved. And Apple, if you're listening, we are very rarely on the same side with anything. I'm not even asking you to refer the business to me. Again, I don't expect to ever get a referral from any Apple store anywhere in the country for the lifespan of my business. I understand that Apple wants to protect their brand, and I understand a lot of what is going on with opposition to right to repair is Apple wanting to protect their brand. And I can respect wanting to protect your brand. So I'm going to bring your attention to this in the hopes that somebody up there notices this is a pattern. This has been going on for years. And if it continues, we have shared interest in this, because at the end of the day, that person is going to have not only a horrible taste in their mouth for repair, they're also going to have a horrible taste in their mouth for Apple. Why would they refer me to somebody that tried to screw me? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm also going to link to a couple more videos from my good friend and colleague in the industry, Jessa Jones, who live streams on her channel how to fix these types of devices on a regular basis. She goes over how to fix motherboards, and she has been teaching people how to fix motherboards on her YouTube channel for 10 years. Her content is informative and just overall great. And in full disclosure, she is also a good personal friend. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now.